Is this the opportunity for Gotriciani to get a little 90?
Herzlich willkommen zurück auf Schalke America. I'm your host, Richard. Joining me as always, co-host Jack. How we doing on this Monday? Misery Monday.
Doing all right, sir. How are you?
Doing all right. I think that's as best I can do at the moment is doing all right. Just when we were feeling all high and dandy about ourselves, we kind of
it was a mixed weekend for me. I had some very some late game theatrics in a positive way with the Chicago Bears, and I had some late game theatrics in a negative way with Schalke. So, interesting one to talk about.
My whole weekend was this crap. All my teams lost. So, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But yeah, we're gonna talk about Schalke tonight. Eric, see you in the chat. Glück Auf to you. Everyone else in the chat, listening in, watching along. Hope you all are doing well as we are, I guess I should say. Rundown for tonight. We're gonna do a brief match review, talk about the game that was Karlsruhe on the road. We're going to get to our 4 talking points from the game and then preview the big game, the Topspiel Elversberg this weekend coming up. Lots to get into from this game, but we'll start it off and just look at the lineups going through this game. We need to make a couple changes heading into this game. There'll be a couple changes for the next game, which we can always get to later, but look at the lineups. First for the home team, nothing too crazy with them. They got, decent defenders. It's a really good team just overall. Very similar to us in many ways, but obviously Van at 6, the guy we kind of highlighted in the last episode, a guy to really watch for, and obviously Schlussner, a guy who has been just very hot this season. He's already got 5 goals heading into this game. Nothing too crazy with the lineup. I mean, it's a good team all the way around, Jack. I think there's very few weaknesses on this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's the guys we pointed out before. Like you said, their leading goal scorer, and then of course, Vonacek, who's hurt us in the past, and there's good players up and down the squad. So pretty aggressive attack. Was looking forward to seeing how this one was going to play out, but I kind of figured we were going to have our hands full here.
Yeah, for sure, getting our hands full. The changes to the lineup, obviously, Karius is still in goal, but the change we would see is Kuricai. Not starting would be Katic and Ihan. And this one, Gantenbein, Ilfauzi, Schallenberg, back in the middle with a Yunus into the lineup with Karaman and Silla. I think the surprise for me, not so much Sanchez, but I mean, Yunus. We got to see him. We saw a little bit of him, I think, last game or in the Pokal. We got to see him in this game. I wasn't sure what to see. Expecting him. Obviously, he's going to have a lot of rust, but what were your thoughts from the lineup that we had head into the match?
I mean, yeah, the Ian Sanchez combo is an interesting one. That's not one that we've seen this season, I think, so far, outside of maybe at some not from the starting 90-minute point at least.
Yeah.
That was definitely notable on my end. And then, like you said, Yunus, we talked a little bit after the the Pokal about maybe the squad selection and the fact that he was kind of becoming available, and hadn't got any minutes yet this season. So not necessarily against him once again getting that opportunity. I think if we have some of these guys, there's going to be opportunities where we need to rotate them in and use them. Yeah, I just think, this was a pretty rough game from us overall. So it's hard to judge Yunus on the basis of that one performance when it was pretty dour performance in possession from us in this game. That being said, I do feel like he was a little bit easy to get through in the first half. In their buildup, I just didn't really feel like he was a factor all too often in terms of assisting with that. I think they were kind of playing in behind him a lot, pretty easily. So we kind of shout that out. But beyond that, like I said, don't have an issue with him being in the lineup though.
Yeah, I don't either, just because I want to see what he can bring, and he has some skill sets that a lot of our players do not have. Real quick, do you attribute his coming out at halftime more on the yellow card or a lack of performance?
I think it could have been both. I mean, wasn't his yellow card pretty early too?
Yeah,
it was right after Ian's was the first minute, right? And then I think it was probably a combination of both. And I don't think he was probably ever going to get the full 90 anyway.
No.
So it may have been the plan to take him out at halftime to begin with, and certainly probably not more than 60 minutes. And when he already has a yellow card.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we wondered going into this game, could we get back to winning ways after the Pokal loss? Nope. It would not happen. There was heading to the game, we always talk about our choreographies and how the tifos look. There was a nice job by Karlsruhe's peeps, the ode to Strasbourg, their friend, so to speak, the club friendship there. So you can see 35 years friendship with them. So it was pretty nicely done there by them. Interesting stat heading into the game that Schalke had the lowest possession out of anyone in the league. And we're sitting on top of the table, which is something you don't necessarily attribute a top place team to be. It's very much how we play. We're very much a counterattacking team, and lo and behold, Karlsruhe are also a counterattacking team, Jack. So it's going to be a game of who's going to have the ball versus the other. I think both teams are very comfortable not having the ball, and it showed that first half, I thought.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the first half overall, I think, especially at the beginning, I didn't think was that bad. It was just clearly very intense and a lot of back and forth. It was kind of requiring, a lot of us. I think there's a lot of games where you've seen that we've come out in the first 30 minutes in particular, and the energy levels and the work rate and some of the pressure we're putting under people is not matched by the opposition. And depending on the opponent, we actually take advantage of that and convert and score goals. And just from the very beginning, even though we had some decent spells, I think the first like 15 minutes especially, like after that, yeah, I felt like it was super even and that we were being stretched pretty constantly as well. So I actually think over the course of the full 92 that they actually wore us down probably more than the reverse, which was interesting because we haven't seen that a whole lot, but could also be we once again coming off the back of a Pokal week and those kind of things too. So
yeah, absolutely. I think it was telling how, you mentioned that Ihan Sanchez combo in the back there. First minute of the game, as you said, Ihan gets a yellow card, nearly gives it away, and got the yellow card just so he wouldn't be embarrassed. Really, not a great way to start the game. And then within 5 minutes, there was a VAR call for a possible penalty, but ultimately it was offsides during the build-up. So Karlsruhe did not get the penalty there. But I mean, outside that, in the first half, there was a bicycle attempt by Silla in the first half, and it really wasn't for Karlsruhe's side. Really didn't get anything too dangerous until stoppage time in the first half, where Schlussener somehow got beyond on like a mini breakaway to Karius, and Karius made a nice big save on him just before halftime. But I think, as you said, it was fairly even first half. Both teams are good at what they do in terms of not giving up too much possession, not giving up too many chances, and you see why both these teams give up very little goals. And it was just kind of like feeling each other out almost. It was Schalke didn't want to go down early, and Karlsruhe didn't want to give up any goals early to start the game. So pretty even first half. I know the possession wise it was fairly even, but it really wasn't until second half, Jack, I thought, where things started kicking up. Interesting play of the game, and it was really, we've been very fortuitous in this regard this year, where 64th minute is just off a corner kick, Cottage goes down, referee goes on and gives a yellow card to the defender, and you're like, wait, what just happened? I mean, at least I don't know why the yellow card happened initially. It took a while for me to kick into what happened. Did you get a read early on, like why the yellow card was happening and why we got the penalty kick?
No, not at all. Not until we were looking at the replays and everything, for sure. Because I didn't seem obvious to me in the course of live play at all.
No, it didn't at all. It really took several replays for me to realize, oh, okay, he kind of was mugging him the whole time, because I'm like, was there a handball in there and this and that? But like, I think the defender was pretty much all over him and kind of like dragging him down. And eventually the penalty was called. Karaman steps up, scores the goal. I don't know about you, Jack. I hate the short run-ups because it seems like they hardly work. They don't work as often as a normal run-up. And I don't think Karaman normally does a short run-up there, but he got it done, Jack. What are your thoughts on the short run-up there by Karaman?
I guess from like a philosophical standpoint, I probably agree with you to some extent, but it's hard to argue with anything when it's that well executed, because that was decisive. It was hit hard. It was hit low, right into the corner. I mean, no complaints. I mean, that's exactly, it was great. So yeah, pleased with Karaman finding a way to convert that. I wish we were scoring more goals from open play and not relying on, things like this too often, but we'll take what we can get. It's just weird. I have to get used to Schalke sometimes being the benefit of VAR calls now. It's been so long since we've had that. We've had two now within the past, 3 or 4 games or whatever that I think are kind of questionable decisions that have gone our way. So I guess we'll take it. But unfortunately didn't end up capitalizing on that, of course, in terms of the result at the end of this one.
Yeah, Karma's 3 for 3 this season, 3 penalties for him. It seems we get a lot of opportunities, like you said. We've been very, very lucky in that regard. Well, we got the lead, and they talked about how it's funny because the commentator's curse, I guess. He mentioned immediately now Schalke with our great defense, this has to hold them out the rest of the way, and it's like, okay. And you kind of got a warning shot in the 70th minute where Kaiser, I almost did it again. Karlsruhe had a counterattack. Ultimately, the ball a rebound kind of found its way to Vanitsek. He gets a shot off, clear shot, but it hits the post. And that should have been a warning shot for Schalke that something was brewing, that the Karlsruhe were hungry and wanted to play in the game. They kept coming in waves. They kept getting stronger as the game went on. Finally, in the 75th minute, corner kick happens, right? As the corner kick taker is kicking the ball, Karius takes a second ball and throws it into the pitch. Gets a yellow card for delay of game. I get why he did it, and I don't get why he did it. And I say that because on the ensuing re-kick, ball goes into the box, and they score. Bifus, whatever his name is, defender scores a goal over Sanchez, goes in the net. Karius looks like an idiot. Sanchez looks like an idiot. Thoughts on that whole disaster of a play that happened on the two kicks?
I mean, yeah, it was kind of the equivalent of like icing the kicker in NFL speak,
Yeah.
and it didn't work out for us. And yeah, second yellow card for Karius this season. Yeah, kind of strange moment from. I know he has a little bit of that like kind of like edge and whatever to him, but that just did seem kind of like a weird action.
Wrong time of game. Do it at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his fault ultimately that it went necessarily. Although I will say, on the corner kick itself, I mean, classic, just unmarked header, basically. Schalke's kind of set up with a couple guys marking the people at the top of the box, but there's also kind of a back line of Schalke defenders that wasn't initially marking anybody. And so as that, group of Karlsruhe players disperse and some of them kind of go towards that Schalke back line and some do whatever, Beavis kind of just ends up with no one on him whatsoever. And it isn't until, the ball is basically reaching him that Sanchez is even able to step out and try to get a body on him. And simultaneously, Karius's timing is off too, because as the guy is taking the header, Karius is like shifting to get set. So he's not planted and ready to move. So his reaction time in terms of how his feet were set, just kind of caught him at the wrong moment there. So kind of a double whammy and squirts in. So yeah, just disappointing. And we've seen some of that recently too. So I don't know. Cheap way for us to go ahead. Not the best way for us to concede, but they were still, like you said, 15 minutes after that to go out and still win the match.
Yeah, and I thought at that point, considering the penalty we had and then they equalized, I thought it would have been a fair result, a draw, because I thought they were deserving of a point in the way they played, at least especially the second half. And it just seemed like once the 90-minute mark hit, it seems like we just got tired, or I don't know what happened. We switched off, but it seems like Karlsruhe were going for the kill, going for the winner, and this the set piece was bad on the 76-minute goal. But then in stoppage time, the second or third minute stoppage time, Porat knocks the ball out of bounds, and they quickly play it in, and it was almost like a rehearsed play where they give it to the Karlsruhe player, I forget which player it was, and immediately crosses into the box. It deflects off of their defender, Cobalt, right to Schlussner in the back of the net. I mean, it's a great goal by him. Great reaction goal. We've seen Toronto do that in the past, but damn, Jack. 2-1. We lose there. Thoughts on that last goal there, the winner by Schussler?
I mean, yeah, it's a heartbreaker. Really, really tough for us to not find a way to get that 1 point, on the road, especially with the week we've had. That was probably a pretty demoralizing way to end that, especially given that I think Remmert had almost a game winner moments before that at the other end because of like kind of a confusion at the top of the box with the keeper, and he just, he got himself a half yard space or so to take the shot. And then just shanked it completely or whatever, like it bounced up and bobbled or whatever happened, and he couldn't get any purchase on it. But so huge swing because it looked like we were about to steal it potentially on a mistake from them. And then, like you said, for them to just kind of that play it was over before that play even felt like it was developing, which is what was weird about it. It was like you said, it was that quick cross and ridiculous first touch finish back in. So yeah, really tough. But I think after last week we talked about seeing how we would respond to the Pokal match in this one. I think this is maybe going to be the one that's going to be more interesting to see how we respond to this is like going forward, like after the kind of week we've had and everything. And not like we've fallen down the table. I think we're still in like second place, I think overall at the moment with a little bit of a gap. So we're in a comfortable spot, but I mean, just to see like if there's any belief that gets kind of shaken again, because we know how easy it can be for Schalke to spiral at times when the criticism starts. So don't think we're anywhere near that yet, obviously. And these results are going to happen. Karlsruhe is a good team. hard-fought match. We lose it in the final seconds. It's not like we got blown out or anything like that. So I don't want to take too much, away from it. The only things I'd say are just it's still concerning, as I've said all season, the offense. I don't know what you think, but the one goal we score is a penalty.
Yeah. It's not a great way, not a great look for a team that's vying for promotion or in the discussion of that. And we can. Oh, it seems like all these set pieces are the way we get goals. We had our chances though. You mentioned in the past we've been clinical when we had the opportunities in the first half. We had obviously Silla going for the bicycle attempt. Gantenbein came close with a header that was cleared off the line. Karaman got a shot that was forced to save in the first half. So it was like we had our opportunities. We didn't put them away like we normally do, and then Karlsruhe ended up coming back and biting us. You're looking at the ratings from some of the players, and you always take this grain of salt. It's like this is SofaScore, this example, but like Sanchez, right there for both the goals for them, so he doesn't get a favorable rating there. Kate just had a really good game. Ihan had a weak game, but other than that, it was just like meh performance. And you see a lot more green on the Karlsruhe side. Their keeper made some good saves as well. So yeah, it's not the best game. It's certainly better than what we just had at the Pokal. So that's it's an improvement if you want there. But it kind of gets us into our 4 talking points here. I kind of want to start with the big elephant in the room, which is the set pieces. Clear defensive weakness for us. So like both goals happened off of essentially set pieces in this game. Our defense had been the backbone this season especially during the 5-game run. We had the best defensive record in the league, but conceding a late equalizer and then a late winner in this game, it kind of puts things into question. Was this a massive mental lapse? What was it? So my question, I guess, for you, and then I'll answer it as well, but is this like a new worrying trend, after a long run of clean sheets? Is this like something we have to worry about now, or just a one-off? And then what adjustments should we make with this whole man-marking zonal defense that you brought up, especially when we're towards the latter stages of the game?
Do we have stats on how many of our goals this season have been via like dead ball situations or set pieces? Because I would be interested in, I'd be interested in like going and backing and finding that to actually see how much exposure there is on that so far this year. But I know there's been a couple situations recently where this has seemed to be an issue. So I hope it's a point of emphasis. But I don't want to draw large conclusions from anything at this point. Yeah, and I'm not really worried about like the mentality of the team or anything. Like I said, this was a tough fought game that we lost in the final seconds. I don't think it was a collapse. I don't think it was anything along those lines. If anything, I think the first goal was worse than the second that we conceded as well, just in terms of just sort of like negligence or like not executing something properly. I think that the second one's in stoppage time and it's kind of a cap and that kind of thing. So, overall, I'm not there yet, not at all.
I'm with you. I think had the goals in the Pokal and the goals from this game were similar, like whether those goals in the Pokal are very much counterattacking goals, open play. These are more set piece type plays. If we had both similar goals in both games, maybe I'd start to worry here. But they were both in different situations from those games, and so like you, I am not worried, but I think where we do need to change, and I'm with you that the first goal was more worrisome than the second goal, is that whole man marking zonal thing. Katic clearly was the guy who drew this up on the pitch. Obviously, it's coming from Meyer Muslich, but like you said, a bunch of guys were man marking at the top of the box, and you had all 3 center backs plus I don't know if it was Gantenbein or who was the fourth person back there, just in zones, and you basically give all the big boys for Karlsruhe a chance to run up. And I don't care who you are, even Katic, you're going to get beat if a guy has running head start and you're just standing there still. It showed him that goal. Bifus, whatever his name is, he had a clear running head start. Not that Sanchez is ever going to go head toe to toe with him, jumping in the air, but he had no chance of that whatsoever. Maybe could he stepped up better? I don't know, but I don't like this whole. I don't remember seeing this in other games by any team where you have half man marking, half zonal. It just doesn't work for me. And if we have to change anything, that's where we're going to change. I don't like the zonal thing, especially on set pieces, because of what we just saw.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for it next match and see whether or not they trot something similar out or not. Yeah, I think it could also just be that, once again, Sanchez is the player that's had the least amount of playing time this season, I think, so far, probably overall, which doesn't mean that they're not drilling this in training anyway. But I'm just saying that being said, if there's going to be miscommunication on that kind of a thing, it's probably more likely to be from a player that's less integrated in terms of actual minutes this season. And I think Sanchez is probably the guy that fits that bill in terms of who was on there at that moment. But yeah, I don't know. Fair point though. And like I said, keep an eye on it.
Well, you kind of brought this up earlier in our conversation, which leads to talking point number 2, and it's what's our mental status like now? Like we had a history of whenever something remotely wrong happened with us, we just capitulated. And this year we've been a lot better with that, right? But all of a sudden we give up an equalizer late in the game, and then a winner in stoppage time. Where do we go from here? The question is, why do we struggle to see out the end of the game? Was it a matter of fitness issues because it was a Pokal week? Or is it a psychological problem like we had back in the day? And the slim lead against an aggressive side, we just choked. What do you lean on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more a physical thing, and also like this is one of the more diverse lineups we've had in the last couple of weeks too. So this is stranger collection of players. It's. I said I think we looked tired down the stretch. I thought like not that Karlsruhe did, but like they just kept coming constantly, and especially like late, like they were. I mean, their ball progression down the wings was like
a cockroach, just didn't die.
It was kind of at will at some point, and if I was we were kind of hanging on in terms of being able to stop them and kind of devoting most of our energy to doing that once they reach certain areas, as opposed to like doing that further up the field. So yeah, it was not a typical game, I think, from us in that sense. But I'm not going to blame it on mentality. I think it's more about the schedule and the opponent.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I think it's absolutely because we had 3 games in 7 days against quality opponents, and it's not. I don't think it's a mentality thing. I think it's absolutely that we're tired. One thing I would say is this probably could have mostly been avoided. Not necessarily doesn't mean the results wouldn't have changed or anything, but maybe the guys wouldn't have been tired if we had a little bit more rotation in the Pokal. But hey, my Marusis is running the show, not us, and so ultimately he decides what he thinks is best for the team, and it didn't work out in this sense. Who knows if it had worked out in both games, we would be probably saying different praises right now. But I think the fact that they're tired in such a short amount of time, and which is surprising me that we had the game on Wednesday and we turned around and had the game on Saturday. You would have thought at least they'd give us a game another day and give us a Sunday game or something like that. But hey, it is what it is. Not that necessarily would have helped or whatever. So get some rest. Got a big game against Elfsborg coming up, so hopefully we can improve upon that. You mentioned it earlier, and it gets to the third talking point, and I'll finally answer it now because I kind of danced around it before. But we had all these clean sheets before. We were getting away with all these goals, set piece goals, just getting 1 or 2 goals in the game and seeing our way out. But that's all we've been doing lately. It seems like most of our goals, we talked about it last week, majority of our goals scored this year have been from the set piece. And so is this current tactical setup, is it generating enough high quality chances in your eyes? Are they are key attacking players like Silla and Karaman, are they getting enough service? How can we improve the attacking output to avoid relying on just penalty decisions? Because we've been in this boat before, right, with Domenico Tedesco, and then we saw what the result was. That I mean, it's not that for sure, but it kind of has. Kind of remember that a little bit with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of been tipping in the right direction recently, just with the emergence of Musa Silla finally, because that was a concern when your primary man there just really isn't getting off the mark. We also have Remmert back now, which while he didn't like score anything in this one, like having him available and potentially for them to swap or at least keep him fresh is also I think going to be useful. Right? Yeah, for sure. So reasons I think for optimism potentially, but yeah, outside of that, it's the broken record. I mean, we've been saying this from the beginning of the season is defense has been great. That's awesome. But, if you're struggling to score even a single goal, that basically means that you are like, at the whim of a single kick of the ball in any game. Yeah. You have no margin, you know what I mean? Defensively. And that works when you're keeping clean sheets, but like that's hard to do. And you see, I mean, like yeah, so you have to find a way to score more goals over time, and like defense is gonna get you somewhere. It's gonna put you in a position to kind of be within shouting distance at the end of the season. But fundamentally, you're not gonna get promoted unless you score goals because you're just not gonna win enough games. It doesn't matter if your defense is great. there's going to be times where you concede a single goal, and you have to be able to, find a way to more often than not get two in those games as opposed to 1 or 0. And this is another one where, like if we had converted Remert's chance at the end or some of the other ones that you mentioned, it's not like we didn't convert, create anything. I'm not saying it was a particularly good game in possession from us. It wasn't, but I mean, like, were a couple opportunities. If any of those go in, like, it's a different picture. But yeah, not good enough so far this season. And this was another kind of example of that. So
Yeah, and we even said, heading to the game that you're gonna need at least 2 goals to beat Karlsruhe, because they can score goals. They have some players like Schlussner, is obviously been a guy who's been on fire this year. But yeah, I do think the tactics aren't the greatest for the attack. It's effective because obviously we're winning. We get tons of clean sheets, and we got a goal or two, and we're in the good. But when we are going to face adversity this season in terms of teams who are just going to score, find a way to break us down. Just look at Darmstadt score 4 goals against us. We have to find ways to put the ball in the back of the net. And I think we've seen glimpses of every different facet working. Obviously, with the strikers, we've seen it working with El Fauzi getting involved in the play with the play up the middle. That's worked at times. We've seen the wing play between Becker and Gantenbein or Porat or whomever on the wings. That's worked out at times as well. But it's that consistency to see all 3 of those phases working well together, including then you add the set pieces in there with with either the headers or corner kick goals or the penalties, whatever. I think I need a combination of all of that. Now, we're not there. It's still fairly early in the season, like you mentioned. I think there's like 5 games left in the first half of the season. So it's still a long way to go. But we need to see some kind of improvement there. And I'm ecstatic to see Remmert back just because he was such a bulldog when he was starting in the beginning of the season. And now that Silla's scoring again, maybe he sees Remmert in there and it gets him going even further. Maybe I don't think we see Chibata anytime soon, but maybe in the second half of the season or something like that. But we just got to find the ball back in the net. And like I said, it wasn't like we didn't create chances. We did. If some of those go in and we go up 3 goals, it's a different story. We're not talking about that as much anymore. So just need to see the ball a little more back in the net and be more clinical. I know they're going to ram it through their heads this week in practice because it's a big game against a team that can score a lot of goals in Elversberg. All right, this last talking point leads into Elversberg. Gantenbein picks up his 5th yellow, which means an automatic suspension for him. He's clearly been the established guy on the right flank, right wing, if you so to speak. Losing him for the next match, Bayern Music is going to have to change the starting 11 to what was really working well for him. Obviously, we talked about how Gantenbein is one of his guys because he presses very well. He gets into the attack as well. So he's someone that's a Bayern Music's guy. Like, how do we circumvent that? So who steps in to replace Gantenbein? Who do we change the personnel? Do we change the tactical shape at all? And then, can we? I guess let's start with that. Let's start with that.
I mean, like Gantenbein, more like Gelbebein. That was terrible. It's got to be Porat, right? I mean, like, who else is going to be at this point? I think he's probably going to be the one that's going to have to slot in for most of that 90. Yeah. Assuming Becker, is ready to go on the left-hand side. But we'll see.
Did you think Becker looked weak in this game?
I don't think anybody on the wings looked particularly good. I thought Becker looked better than Gantenbein and also like Sanchez and Ian, in terms of those kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought it was tough.
Yeah, I think Porat is the better choice as opposed to Donkor. I think Becker could play either wing. Porat obviously can as well, but yeah, Donkor is a body, but I don't know if he's doing anything for us at the moment. I think it has to be Porat. Trying to think of who else you could slot in there. You could probably put maybe a midfielder in there. You could possibly put El Fauzi there, but you don't want to ruin what he's got with Schallenberg in the middle there. So, I think Porat makes the most sense in the game against Elversberg. We'll see how he does. And how many times this season we said it's either Porat or Gantenbein? It's like
Moose just going to play Bachmann there.
yeah, I know. Put him at striker probably.
He did my Swiss Army knife, Bachmann. Yeah, he's going to get him there.
Yeah. Well, Becker's got to be quite careful too, as Asiker says. He picked up his 4th yellow in the game as well. So the next yellow, he's out.
Ooh, actually, how about this? Is this the opportunity for Gotriciani to get a little 90?
Could be. if nothing else comes off the bench.
Oh, right? And we just got that in the chat too. Great minds think alike, right at the same time. Yeah. Has he gotten any minutes this season? I don't think he has.
I don't think he has, other than preseason. I mean, it might be time to unleash the GOAT. Unleash the GOAT. I think it is time. Yeah. It's a big game coming up. Top Spiel against Coach Cristiani. Top Spiel against Elversberg. They are third in the table currently, just behind us, 1 point behind us in the table. Let's see if I can pull up the table here. That's what I wanted. All right, there we go. So we are sitting at 24 points. They are just behind us in 23 points. Defensively, fairly similar, but look at that attack. 24 goals for 15 again, or 15 for us. This is one of the best attacks. Actually, they are the best attack in the league. They've had some games where they won 6-0, 4-0. They've struggled recently, but this is a team this is a complete team. I think this is probably the most complete team in the league right now. I'm trying to look at some of the most recent results so we can see. So they drew Hanover, which is a good team, 2-2. They did lose to Bielefeld the week before, but they won 6-0 against Greuther Fürth. They had some 4-0 wins in the season as well. So this is a complete team, Jack. Wagner's team is really well drilled. I think we have to take them seriously, and I think the first step in getting any kind of result against Elversberg is finding a way to shut down their attack because it is so vaunted. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and they have obviously one of the co-leading goal scorers this season. Along with Lindbergh, who we just saw the other week too against Darmstadt. So, yeah, it's not going to get any easier for us anytime soon. This is a tough stretch, as you said last week. You talked about the gauntlet. This is part of it. Yeah, I think we just got to bunker down and hope there's not too much more damage that comes our way in the short term, that we can maybe get a draw out of this or rebound and get a win potentially. But yeah, not going to be easy. Going to be hard fought for sure.
The saving grace is that the game is at home. I don't know if it's saving grace or not, because I used to say that we're better on the road, but we haven't looked good on the road the last 2 games. So, and then after that, a small reprieve in Munster, but that could be a trap game, because then we got Paderborn coming up after that, which is another top Spiel. They're currently at the top of the table with their win over the weekend. So, hey, we can be down and gloomy out, after the loss this weekend, but we're still in second place. We're still in an automatic promotion spot. That's still ideal position there, but we got one of the main contenders for promotion this year in Elversberg. We got to play them this weekend. It's going to be a good litmus test for us to see. This is the end of the gauntlet, so to speak. How do we end it? And I think, we think the mentality is good for sure, but there's some things we need to work on. In particular, some of the things we just pointed out in this podcast. So we'll see what we have, what we got. Any early predictions? Doesn't have to be a score, but thoughts on how we'll do compared to the last couple games?
No.
No.
Not gonna let you drink your water. No, I'm just kidding. No. No, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly optimistic for this one at the moment. As you said, Elversberg, one of the top attacks in the league, and Karlsruhe was another one that we just faced, and we didn't look particularly strong against them just now, and it's been a tough couple games for us in that department overall. So not the best time for us to be running up against Elversberg at the moment. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's not super optimistic at the moment. I'm not overall about the season, not optimistic or worried about really our trajectory, but I think, after 5 or so unbeaten, we're probably going through a little bit of a dip at the moment, and we just gotta hold on and hope we can bounce back sooner rather than later.
So with Elversberg game, we have 6 games left before the break. We got Elversberg, Münster, Paderborn, Düsseldorf, Nuremberg, Braunschweig to end it. There you go. So those are the 6 games before the break.
Those last 3, if we can win all 3 of those, which we should, because those are, all of those are bottom 12, 12 through 18. Yeah. If we can win those 3, that would be a clutch way to finish the season, because it's going to be tough against Paderborn and Elversberg coming up for sure.
It is. So I don't really have a result of the game. I just want to see better situational play defensively from our set pieces. I want to see us be able to create more opportunities from the open play, not just rely on the set pieces on the offense. And what I was encouraged by from the Karlsruhe match was that we kind of muddied that midfield. It was a midfield battle. I didn't see more of that. We have to kind of clog that midfield for Elversberg. They can create chances. We're going to have to rely more on that pressing that we had against Darmstadt in the first game and some of the other games we had this year, Hanover and some others. and then take our chances. When we do create chances, we have been creating, you got to finish them. And at least if you get one or two early, put Elfsberg on their heels and try to get them out of their comfort zone, that'll help us a long way. But the longer it goes 0-0 or we go down a goal early or two, it could be a long night. So I don't want to rest on the chance of trying to score multiple goals when we know we're not very capable of that, at least not this season thus far. So we'll see. Intercepting them, pressing them is going to be big in this game. So we'll see what happens in this game. But I'm going to pay attention very closely to see what changes we've made from what lessons have we learned from the last two games at least. So to be determined. Game is coming up this Saturday morning, bright and early, 7 a.m. Eastern time, 6 o'clock in Chicagoland time. So, all right, Jack, let's get on out of here. Where can our followers find you on social media?
At JMMangan, JMMANGAN on Twitter.
Very good. You can follow me at R_KHARMAN. More importantly, follow us at Schalke America all across social media. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you follow us, subscribe, do all that jazz. Support us and spread the gospel of us. So, yeah, big game this weekend. We'll see what happens until then. But one podcast this week. We're back to our normal schedule. And so enjoy the rest of your week. If you had a team that sucked this weekend like us, just move on. All right. For Jack and myself, for everyone in the chat that joined us, thank you and Glück Auf. Enjoy the rest of your week and go.